and it's from the mentee's perspective. Okay. And what I'm looking for is from your experience in supporting mentees in whatever level, how many hours you have put in, what makes it memorable, or what I would prefer to call mentorable, about the experience from a mentee's point of view. So I'd like you to pop into your mentee's shoes, all right, and look at the mentoring experience and what makes it mentorable for the mentee.
You know, I think it's about opening doors. So, you know, so if we consider, you know, ourselves as the mentee for a moment, we all have our skills and experience and comfort level of what we feel we're capable of doing, and maybe things that are outside of our reach or perceived to be outside of our reach. And it can be scary in the context of a work environment to step outside of into those areas that we perceive as outside of our reach, because I mean, let's face it, our job's on the line potentially, right? So one of the things I think that's really powerful about the mentee-mentor relationship is that, you know, the mentee still has the opportunity to do it on their own, but they also have the guidance of someone who's been there and has that experience, and therefore, you know, kind of takes them by the hand and says, you know, do it this way, and then you can be successful and not worry about risking your job. And so I think that perspective, well, what I've experienced myself and reflected in the faces of the people that I've mentored, is just that realization that, oh, yeah, there's a path there that'll take me from the end of my comfort zone to where I want to go, so that I can accomplish this thing that I want to do, and to do it in a way that maintains the safety of what I'm comfortable with in my job, in my personality, in my role within the company, or the environment or the organization, and making it a win-win all around.
Yeah, for me to make it the mentorable for me as a mentee was that I had to step in there also prepared. I had to have some sense of where I would like to take this, rather than going, oh, wow, I got the VP as my mentor now. I can do whatever it is that I want. And I end up in the first meeting and I'm looking at my VP, right? And I'm going, not, you know, not a mentorable start to what's happening. So from a mentee, I've got to go in prepared. I have to have some sense of questions. I have to have some sense of what I want out of this. And that's what would make it mentorable experience and a benefit. So I'm just going to share that one. So whoever would like to go next?
So I had a person that I ended up got referred to me that was, excuse me, having a very difficult time interacting with people, and a very difficult time in securing employment and all of those things. And spent some time with them, took them through the mentoring process, and where my focus was on the personal growth of that individual, not so much on the professional, because the personal growth, the things that I was seeing were becoming obstacles or barriers to that person being able to move forward. We spent some time getting them to believe in who they are as a person, getting them to believe in what it is that they can bring to an organization. And as a result of that, the individual was actually very successful in acquiring full-time employment, and has since been transferred to the corporate office located in Ontario. So for me, the memorable moment was when that person realized that, number one, they are a good person. Number two, they can bring value to an organization. And number three, their self-confidence, you know, was significantly higher than what it was when we started the time together.
Okay. Anything else anyone wants to add?
For yeah, for mentee, I can say is someone who's looking at kind of role model or kind of experience they want to be in a future from the mentor. So like I can say mentor is someone who's already achieved something, and mentee is like who someone is looking for guidance or clarity what they want to be in the future. Like for mentor, they have to be proactively listen to the mentee, and also to be monitor mentee behavior also, so they can better guide him. Yes, they both are spend their time together a lot, but in a mentee perspective, they might be set back very easily, but as a mentor, they continuously push up him, and moreover mentor always have to be sure that they are positive and they can better able to guide the mentee. However, there is even in my past experience, for I had worked in India with some of the students who were they recently graduated from the college. So someone who graduated, they don't have the like a clear path. They what they want to be in their life. Like they want to be bureaucrat, government officers, or work in a companies like that. So in their situations, I observed they are very unclear. They irritate a lot, and they sometimes their behavior is up and down. So as a mentor, we have to be also observe the emotions of the mentee. That I can say. And like I recent like I so from mentor perspective, it is important that what kind of experience mentor having, from what background the mentor is come from. Like I come from the tribal community from my country, and here how I can better guide to the mentee about my perspective, that what journey I had, so then I can only influence the mentee. Yeah. So it's also important that mentor is someone who's already achieved something. So they learned already that the person only can help to the mentee. And yeah, it's kindful. It's like nothing. No, there is no kind of monetary or kind of exchange something, but it's a it's a mutual understanding between mentor and mentee.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank
So
Yeah,
again,
and I actually, what Doug was saying reminded me of a particular situation that I was really happy about in a company where there's a new job creation, and the management thought that the employee that was in the former job was not qualified for the new position, whereas I actually had a differing opinion. So I talked to them about taking this person on and mentoring them into the new role. And so that's what I did, is I helped her understand what the new role was, how to manage expectations with the people that were her supervisors and managers, how to make sure that she met their expectations and understood it, and all the way through. And then she became a model employee and did a phenomenal job in that new role that required all the new technology that had been implemented. And the management were extremely pleased that with the transition that she had made. So from my perspective as the mentor for her, I felt really fulfilled because I was able to help the company, get a great employee, and I was able to help this person keep her job and become very satisfied in the new role.
so is very much that for that mentee was to be clear about what is and get the clarity of what can be. And then from a mentor point of view, supporting that mentee, but the mentee really having to be clear about how to be congruent and consistent to get there is really what we've got to help the mentees understand. Because it's not just the mentor's role here to do that, right, Brenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
And part of it is for the mentee is to project the confidence that they can do the job to the people that are counting on them. Because even if you know how to do the job, if you kind of walk around as if you're not sure all the time, then if you're not sure in your ability to do the job, how can anyone else be sure in your ability to do the job? So that was actually a big part of that whole role for me with her, was to help her put out that confidence so that other people would also be confident in her.
Yeah. It's sort of like, maybe I'm adding to the story, but it's clear, clarify, congruent, consistency, confidence. Go for the
Yes.
5 C's.
Yeah.
Just playing, just playing. Doug, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I can relate to what Brenda's talking about because I've had, I don't know, half a dozen different situations where it was much the same sort of thing, other than in the ones I was dealing with, it was termination versus mentoring. And so coming back to what Rohit had said earlier about behavior, it was, we had to work together to change behavior. Otherwise, the consequences, the action that was going to follow was not going to be a pleasant one. And when, to sort of tie that back to the original question, when the employee got to realize what they had just done, where they basically their behavior was changed sufficient enough that they now became that meaningful contributor, that productive employee, that was sort of the aha moment for them.
Oh, okay. Well, if I might add 2 other elements from a mentee. So I'm standing in my mentee shoes, offering it to the mentees. One is to make sure that you as a mentee provide feed forward, feedback, feed fromward, and not to be shy about that. The mentee doesn't have all of the answers. The mentor doesn't have all of the answers. And how can you share what you're thinking, but also to take on what the mentor is talking about? That really adds to a mentorable experience. And then the other thing is, from a mentee point of view, is please respect the time of the mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just assume as that we're in a arrangement, I can get to you at any point in time to do whatever it is at any point in time. There still has to be a respect that goes with this arrangement, this relationship that's being set up. So just a couple of practical little tips, standing in the shoes of the mentee. So anyone want to add anything else before I maybe take us to another place?
Yeah, the thing I'd like to add is, I think it's really great that you're formalizing the mentor-mentee within this organization, because I remember early in my career, I had heard about finding mentors, but, as a female in technology, I had no idea, how do I find someone to mentor me? I had no idea. And so, I mean, I was doing leading edge innovative stuff, but in that aspect, people were watching what I was able to accomplish. But there's a whole other aspects of, the context and the people that, I really wanted a mentor to figure out, like, how, like, you can't just be a bull in the china shop, like, and say, yeah, you're doing it all wrong. Like, those are the aspects. So I did, seek out people and kind of ask their advice, behind the scenes. And so I did it that way, but it was so difficult. Like, I really didn't have longevity in a mentor relationship that I feel would have really helped me accomplish things more extensively than I did at that time. So so that's part of why I really like helping mentor people now, is because I want to help them be able to have more straight line from where they are and where they want to go, by adding in those additional experiences and questions.
So my taking, Brenda, is the notion of, as a mentee, you've got to check into what's happening in the background. It's not always just what's in front of you, but also poke around and find out what's going on in the background. Am I in the zone there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, boundary conditions and things that are just outside of the boundaries of the scope of what you're thinking about. are always important. As human beings, we tend to make assumptions that we don't even realize we're making. And some of those assumptions can be about the scope of what we're considering. And there might be something just outside that scope that has a huge effect on what our work is that we're doing. And those things can relate to the subject matter, or it could relate to the interpersonal aspects, because there's always interpersonal stuff in everything that we're doing, right? And yeah, so all those things. And going back to having the answers, in my experience, it's really about having good questions, because having good questions leads to better answers. So it's being a good question asker is I think maybe even more important than having good answers. Because those questions need to break through the unexpressed assumptions that we all have as humans.
Always remember that the answers lie within those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, wonderful. That's great to step into the shoes almost in a remembrance as being a mentee. And when I was thinking about this question about making it a mentorable experience, I went back into my shoes and looked at what had happened, what is happening kind of idea. So thank you for sharing. I think there's lots of points here. I think I got a good 10 or so I'll list them in the show more notes. But again, you can hear it as you're listening.